Okay, yes, I'm on. I'm on. Okay. Good night to those who are now joining. Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon to whichever part of the world you're now joining from. Share the live, share the live, share the live, share the live. Tonight is a very interesting topic, and as we started to call in last night, I'd be very much appreciative if we do the same thing too tonight. So share the live before I start. I'll take another minute before I start. Share the live, share the live, share the live, share the live. Good evening to those who are now joining. Good evening, good evening, good evening from Guyana. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Share the live. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to whichever part of the world you're now joining. This is Dr. Matthews on this, the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. Yes, share the live once again, share the live, share the live, share the live. Tonight we'll be discussing on a topic. The discussion will be on the topic that was asked. So before we start, black love to you all. Good night, good evening from Guyana to the Caribbean Isles, to West Indian Isles, the Pacific Isles, the British Virgin Isles, the US Virgin Isles, the Maldives, Mexico, US, Canada, UK, EU, China, Beijing, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. To those who are joining me uh, from the Korean Peninsula, good evening to you. Yes, from the Korean Peninsula. We have a few Guyanese there also too who hailed me all the way from Seoul, which is South Korea, but we normally say the Korean Peninsula. So yes, so good evening and good night to you. And to those who are joining from the Australian continent, from the New Zealand Isles and the Tonga Isles, to those who are joining the show from the African continent, as far away as Cote d'Ivoire, and also places like the Ivory Coast. Good morning to you there, and to those who are now joining from that particular place from Nigeria, from places especially from where my father's from, which is Angola. Good night to you. We got a lot of people who are looking at the Gavin Matthews show from a lot of places on the African continent. You know, to those who are joining us from the South American continent, as far away as Chile and Argentina and Venezuela and Colombia, places like Brazil, Boa Noite, Boa Dia, especially from those who are living in different parts of Brazil that carries a different time zone. To those from, uh, and the reason why I say that is because my mother's from there. But good night to you. And to those who are joining me from Suriname, French and Dutch Guyana, and also the Netherlands. Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon to you. And also from the Isles of Curacao, good night. And our Trinidadian brothers and sisters who wishes to be personally identified. Now, I have an interesting topic to bring up to you tonight, and it's something that really came to mind. So, those who are looking at the show tonight, I want you to understand that it's an educative section. The Gavin Matthews show, it's all about education. It's all about educating the masses of what is going on in Guyana, the investigation into certain things in Guyana, our constitution that was uh, that was taken from us as a part of an erosion. I call it erosion because you know can't really understand why up to now an elections petition based upon the hijacking of our constitution cannot be heard. I would have understood it was a simple thing like a normal elections petition challenging the election. But this one here is so different. I think this light is now going. This one here is so different that it's about our constitution that has been taken away. Right? I think this light is now going. If I'm correct. Hold on. Hey, yeah, for real, boy. Advertising gone wild on the Gavin Matthews show page. Yeah, advertising gone crazy now. Right. Yes. Uh to those who are now looking, just excuse me a bit. I gotta fix this light. Just a minute, please. Yes, I think the we got the problem solved. Good. We got the problem solved with the light. So the conversation continues. Now, what bothers me to all Guyanese I'm talking to, whether your ethnicity or your racial background or your culture, one thing that bothers me, and before we get to that, if we look at the political synopsis or statistics, we know by now that the PPP does not have a, how should I put it over? They do not have a winning constituencies anymore. That's plain black. Let's get straight to the point since we're talking here. If the PPP is looking at the race vote to win an election, that can't happen anymore. That's one. Number two, the reason why that can't happen because we had mass migration over the period of 25 years. No, sorry, my bad. Over the period of 35 years, we had mass migration. That's two. Number three, Guyana become a multiracial society. They had a lot of inter-ethnic and interreligious marriages that we can't stop. It's right, left, and center. So Guyana become a country of a diverse culture. So we can't look at ourselves as a race anymore. We gotta look at ourselves as either two things, as Guyanese or black people. Because whether you're twisted or torn it, whether you're of East Indian origin or you're African origin, at the end of the day, you're black. That's the point. At the end of the day, you're black like me, friend. Can't change it. Then the more dark I get, the more I in love with myself. So I can't change that. You understand? So here was the problem. The the propaganda that they're running, it can't work anymore. We're now becoming educated people. But we're going to talk about being educated and yet still being not knowledgeable of the fact, which is ignorant. And because we're so ignorant that stupidity steps in, that is why the question and the point of the conversation is that how did the weak colonize the strong? So we can get into that conversation. Because at the end of the day, hold on. Okay. All right. Well, Miss Roberts, I think it's best if you call me. And then we can have that conversation off air. Right? But as we're getting down to the conversation, how did the weak colonize the strong? I'm trying to find out. How does a weak man like Efraud, Barrett, and Anil, these men are so weak, even if they got money, they're weak. Because money doesn't mean anything. What you're gaining with it. I can't see a thing that you're gaining with it right now. I mean, twisted or turned, I have no respect of money, so it doesn't really matter. But what the thing is that people fail to realize you got to use these things in which it was created for. Money is a legal tender note. Use it in which it was created for. People take it and using it differently. A pair of glasses was used for me to see through because my eyes would have been getting worse. What do you got to use to which it was created for? Not the other way around. So the conversation starts is how did the People's Progressive Terrorists Party, which is a weak party, the weak, the broke, and the weak, colonized the strong. I'm trying really to understand this capital nonsense. Let me start looking at it. You got Wiltshire, You got Claret Swing. You got Gil Teixeira. You got the Chatri. Then you got the Rat. Then you got the Dunce. Them six people colonize this entire nation. Divide them. When you ask the question, the strong only remain strong when they're united as one. The strong cannot remain strong when you divide it. So ask yourself who looking tonight, and whichever part of the world you're looking at from. How did these weak men and couple women colonize this nation of strong people? Because I trying to check at it. I mean, you can imagine you carrying people to court because of freedom of speech, and you frightened for that. When the Constitution says that you have the right to speak your mind, as long as the government does not work in the best interests of you, you have the right to protest, picket, and the freedom of speech. Since when the weak suddenly colonized this nation of strong people? I am trying really to understand. These boys ain't got no sense. You can imagine Barrett Jagdio as all persons left this country with the wanted self and went to Africa, Ghana, sat down there as a representation of this country begging for money. These boys weak. I come back home and got the audacity to run people talks. These boys weak. How come suddenly they're colonizing the brains of all the rest? You're telling me about soup drinking and money? That don't make sense. Where are you spending it? You can't even leave the country with it. You want to give you a simple example? Ask Charan Das. Ask Charan Das. As a Canadian citizen, he got problems in declaration of his wealth right now. Ask, he can tell you. He's the resident ambassador from Guyana to India. Got stay there. Ask, he got problems. Them boys this week. Them boys just can't leave this country. Them boys is prisoners in their own country. They don't got money to broke. And they're trying to tell you that you got to listen to them. How could you? Them boys, this is murderers. Right now, they can't even read properly. Because the crimes that they did yesteryear is now waking up, opening up their eyes because people are presenting it in front of them. Are you a representation of Guyana? So what about you when you were president? You had a decade of death. So many people died in your country. You surpassed the amount of Jim Jones. Isn't there a commission of inquiry supposed to be held? Because you were president, you were responsible. What happened to the case at the International Criminal Court of Investigation of Crimes Against Human or Humanity? You're supposed to go and answer there for those crimes that you're responsible for, Mr. Barjagdio. Yes, 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 yes. Don't feel pie don't run around the place, I can attack your name right there. Question mark. You have immunity here in Guyana. Now, based upon the Guyanese courts to extradite you to answer crimes against humanity. But because our laws said that you cannot be tried in or out of office as president because you're immune for crimes committed. It's not me who says it's your friend Roger Khan that says that. It's not me who says it's your friend Mr. Bacchus. When you only kill your brother and you go near the press conference the following day, and then the next day he dead. It's not me who says so. It's Sean Hines who sit down on the national television and say, y'all pay, y'all call you and tell you, hey, I got work for you. Got my head for your boss. When you go there for kill the man, y'all beat it to the punch. It's not me who says it's Clarence True, ex-controller of customs. When y'all threaten me, sit down and say, well, here, I got the deepest secrets about y'all, so don't play. You know Gavin Matthews already. Me mouth tear. Me mouth tear. I don't play. I don't got no sympathies, so no boys. Them boys weak. How did the weak? How did the weak colonize the strong? These are Guyanese we talking about. Take a for instance, take a good look. I don't look at them with their hair, I just look at people like Mr. Rickford Burke. Let me show you a simple example. He's an example. Mr. Rickford Burke is a Democrat. And the party in office, which is Mr. Joe Biden, he's a Democrat. He's also the president of the United States of America. They have something you call the Black Caucus. And you have something that you call the House of Representatives. And in the House of Representatives, there are divisions that's supposed to represent the representatives in the House. Those you call the congressmen and women. So nobody wants to make Mr. Rickford Burke uncomfortable because his position is to gather the strength, which you call the votes, the power, the people, to make sure that the Democrats remain in office. So like Mr. Wise, make sure he uses that power to make the PPP crawl on their bellies and beg like swines. So they're running around the place taking photo ops. Like your photo ops means anything. Anybody can stand and take a photo of you. You can come to me, I'd flash and smile. As long as you pay me for it. Them boys weak. If one man got the entire de facto installed terrorist government. So afraid. One man, Mr. Rickford Burke, a man telling me the other day, me alone can't do it. I don't look at me alone. I look at what I can do. I look at what I know. Because what I know is that you got sheer criminals and the weak sit down and call themselves executive. Ear fraud. Still got 19 charges. I don't care. Here, let me tell you something. You know, you gotta thank God that me no politician, you know. Because I know some people are going to jail. I can't become president. Because if the courts can't find them and jail them, I'm making sure the meet to the gallows, a rope that go around somebody's neck. Because these are things that these boys did in plain sight. So the whole country could see. And just to prosecute them, you got to get the evidence. Now, how can you try a man that is immune, either in or out of office, from the criminal justice system? What kind of lawlessness is that? You know, the Guyanese who are looking at these shows every night, do you think it's worth it to sit back and allow such a system, such a corrupt, devastating system to run your country? Every day is a level of corruption. Every day. Every day is a level of corruption. You don't know where to start from. When you're looking on the outside through the window, you got to look in your own house. Because when you feel it in then your house, then your house. And the thing is that we are the strong. 6 people are responsible for the situation this country is in. 6 people. 6 persons, as a matter of fact. 6 of them. They are responsible for the condition this country is in today. And the queen of all is the wicked witch Lynch. And nobody seems to be saying anything. 6 persons. How did the weak colonize the strong? 6 persons. Derail this entire population. Throw the Constitution behind some window in a garbage can. You know how disrespectful this thing is. You ever check at it? Since we got this covert problem, as they're claiming now, and the more people are dying with covert, the people who are vaccinated. Tell them I say so. Me, moi, Gavin Matthews said that majority of the people who have been dead are the fully vaccinated. If they ain't fully vaccinated, they're half vaccinated. I don't have to call the Ghana Press Association to say that. Hold on. Good night to you. Thank you for calling GMS Live, the voice of democracy. This is Gavin Matthews. Good. So, The thing is that we got people who are claiming to be public officials, who are claiming to be the people's representative, and can't start becoming the representative of the people. You know why? Because we got other problems. Let me show you some problems, simple problems that we got that are making this country so weak. Number one problem is people like Patrick Yard, the president of the Ghana Public Service Union. He needs to go. He's been there too long. We got the union rep that is supposed to support or represent the workers of Banks DIH. Who Banks is propping up, buying vehicle and cars so he could feel nice, put him in a nice house. That's what's going on in this country. So we got people who are paying people to colonize their own people. And they are strong. I can't understand how can the strong becomes weak and the weak becomes strong because the weak is of a lesser percent. If you check those who are controlling this economy in this country is the 1%. And the rest is so vast of a majority, I don't understand where these people pulling the strings. Everywhere you turn is a division. And you know what amazes me? Some of us who are looking at this show are Christians. They call themselves Christians. And they keep telling you about the Bible, but I don't know which part of the Bible they're reading because as far as I am concerned, every prophet or every man of God in the Bible, they are tyrants. Them people used to rise up and slay, kill the wicked. So I don't know which part of the Bible they're reading. Even in the New Testament. So I'm scratching my head because I'm trying to figure out with dismay and awe, how can we sit down and allow such a thing to happen continuously? Continuously. These men, let me tell you something. From the first instant when we had the strike, the first set of strike, I think it was the 50 days or the 80 days, when Patrick had made the public servants had to pay back for those days that they strike. When he made the deal with the devil, then was Mr. Barjackio. He's supposed to get kicked out since then. Now he's sitting down there as a public service union president. And you know me, I just call people name because I ain't frighten nobody. You got to do the Michael Jackson, you just spread some oil on the stage and do a moonwalk and come off the stage, throw yourself off or something. Say your injury, you got to retire because of injuries, and let somebody else go there and make sure that public servants are well represented. Are coming wrong. Are coming wrong. Come wrong to all them who seems to be hiding under a bushel. That man's supposed to resign since then. Now you got people who are lining up for their monies at the bank and can't get it because they don't have a covert card. They hard-earned cash. Republic Bank supposed to close down, friend. Republic Bank supposed to close down and supposed to got nobody in anymore. You hard-earned cash. A woman stand up there with a couple months old baby trying to get your monies. And you telling she can't come in and get it because she got to get a COVID card? These people here good. How does the weak, how did the weak colonize the strong? I am trying to colonize in my own brain. I mean, I can't really colonize my brain. But I'm trying to ask myself serious questions. How did the strong become the weak? And you want to tell me you want to sit down for talk about what is it? Uh Congress and Congress and election and them boys ain't representing nobody. These people running around the place killing people and you gonna never sit down and talk, well, my condolences to the family, the businessman they killing Dartmouth. Is all you hearing, nobody making nobody, you know, let me tell you something. This country's supposed to shut down since then. Here, let me tell you something. The passion I there, and I don't want nobody send me no commandments and no Bible verse and all them thing. You know, me, I ain't in the mood for that right now. As I read it on my phone. I ain't in the mood for that. Because no child of God and no man of God ain't supposed to sit on and turn no right cheek and no left cheek. You dig out me, I digging out you own back. Because you ain't got no respect for me, I. You don't want me to live. So how do you expect me to have respect for you? You tell me I'm sit down and allow a murderer to represent me? And I keep saying it already, Bar Jack Joe's a murderer friend. He was president when these murders took place. And he made no comms. He made no opportunities. He made no strives and effort to make these things solved. He was the chief law enforcement officer. Because the office of the president hires the commissioner of police. That is his constitutional duty. He's the chief law enforcement officer. He's supposed to make sure that crime is solved. If it's not, changed the commissioner of police to make sure that these things happen. 1,480 and you haven't answered up to it for it. Up to now, we got the International Criminal Court doing our investigation, sending out warrants so he can be able to go and answer to the investigative charges against him. So now the Americans got him like a puppet, along with Fraud and Gale and Chatry. All of them, they're puppets. They're laughing at us. So I'm asking the question, how did the weak colonize the strong? Because we got weak leadership all over. We got criminals who pretending to be leaders. So Guyana can't go forward. Guyana can't move forward. We like 20 years back. We like 20 years back. Imagine that. I can't imagine all of these pastors and elders of the church. They're coming on television and the internet every Sunday and they're preaching. And they're talking about the mighty hand of God and all these prayers going on. And you know me, I tell you, I'm a saint. I belongs to a church. But this is one brother. Brother Matthews is one brother. Ain't got nobody gonna push down in the eye because they can bite off your finger. This how serious I be. And I'm making sure when I bite off your finger, you ain't gonna for grow back there. I chewing it off. Because you is past me. You come telling me house for tell me how I must live. This what guy now with Guyanese right now. The people be come telling you house for tell you how you must live and bully you to go and take a COVID vaccine. Violating your rights. And when clinical things happen to you, you can't get jack squaddly dot from them because they got nothing to give to you. How did the weak colonize the strong? Who is the strong? The strong is the people. They got the power. Power to the people. What are we doing? Giving it away. We giving away with powers. We giving away our own birthrights voluntarily. Voluntarily. We don't care anymore. What future are we placing for our children? What are we actually telling them? If we behave like this and the children are seeing it, how you expect them to operate? The conversation was we can't talk to the youth of today because they want to listen to you. But how you expect them to listen to you when you yourselves are not doing the right things so the youths can follow? You want me to talk about that? We can talk about that now. You check. If you take in every household that got 2 or 3 young people, when they graduate from school and they hit the working environment and you call them and you talk to them on a one-to-one-on-one basis, psychologically they'll tell you that they're being abused sometime or the other, either by the uncle, the friend, the family member, the own father. You hear these gruesome things and you expect the youths to follow you when you yourselves are destroying their future. And to those who are not abusing them, we actually give them up. We don't care. You know, it's embarrassing to talk about all these things. It's embarrassing to talk about all these things. And yet still we clicking. We're having an idea. Guyanese are suffering. The youths are being misplaced and being misled. You could imagine you stand up on your veranda and see the neighbor son 2 houses down just rob somebody. And you ain't doing nothing about it because you're saying, oh, me getting involved because I can't live here in peace. But what is peace? What do you determine? Because if you see somebody just violate somebody, you talking about it because you want peace. Well, then what is peace? Because literally I'm trying to ask, how do you understand to determine what is peace? Because when the person got no nobody else to rob, who you think can get robbed next? It's not about snitching. It's about creating a culture and a society that we can have respect for each other and we can stand up for each other and we can represent each other. And justice must prevail. If there's no representation, well, there's no justice. Look at it. It is a simple fact. One man incarcerated for 5 years without any circumstantial or sufficient evidence. You know why he was in jail for 5 years? Because he has no representation. There's nothing at all. So the criminal justice system is filled with innocent people. Innocent people. Innocent people that are put behind bars, and those who are behind bars because of their guilt, we don't even know to show in the correctional system how to make sure that they're being involved in coming back into society. When they're out of jail, we have nothing to do with them. So you know what? They go back in jail for the same thing. How did the weak colonize the strong and make the strong becomes weak and they becomes criminals? Because that's who they are. Because they're not strong. To gain strength comes from the purpose of unity, uniting. That's how you gain strength. The people being strong, the weak, the broke, they have no money. I say so. They can parade how much they want. The broke. They ain't gonna forget. So we got leaders that are running around the place that are being investigated. Some of them are wanted. A pleasant good evening to you. Thank you for calling the GMS Live, the voice of democracy. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Gavin. Good night. Thank you so much.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you for your wonderful show. I missed your show a few weeks now. You're still keeping the flame burning, which is good.
Mm.
This is to show the type of person you are. You're a man of your word, and I wish we had much more like you in Guyana. Those people are long gone. They don't have anything with your standard, with your values. None. We don't have any. There are no more. You touched on a few very important topics and points tonight. You ask why should the young people listen, or why are they not listening to the elders or people who's supposed to be recommending appropriate guidance to the young? Because there's none. There's no vision for the people who are the so-called politicians in here. There's no vision. None of them. From none of the sides, there's no vision. Their vision is to steal from the Guyanese people. There's nothing they have to offer Guyanese, and Guyanese must realize this.
Mm-hmm.
Look, up to now I can't wrap my head around what took place on March 2nd. Up to now I cannot wrap my head around the process because it's blatant disrespect. Both parties cause one layer. Both of them. One gave her power and one allowed an international body to disrespect our constitution.
Yes.
They ain't gonna come back. So there's no way. After that, what took place there, you're gonna see it's just downhill.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is going to change that is a revolution, and I don't see it. It is blatant disrespect. We
I
see what happened to Puerto Rico,
Yeah, I think we have
Hawaii.
some. I think we have some volume problems here. I don't know if you can speak up a bit. I see some people is
Okay.
asking me to raise the volume, but I think this is my best I have
Are
here.
you better?
Uh,
Better? Is it better?
I don't know to them, but I'm having you on loudspeaker. I think because of my earpiece, right?
Oh,
Yeah, but go ahead.
okay. All right. I'll try. I'm
Mhm.
trying to talk. It's blatant disrespect. No respect, as I
Mhm.
was saying. When citizens of a country, politicians of a country, allow outsiders, it's like you have your home and you allow your neighbor to come and intervene in your house to tell you how to live. That's what the politicians did to the Guyanese people.
Yes.
That is, Gavin, there is no way Ghana is going to get better.
Mhm.
The installed government will be propped up. I want you guys to take a look. Why is it we still have a hold over? Can anybody tell me that? Can the opposition, so-called opposition, tell me why do we still have a hold over ambassador? The Canadians set up Miss Chatterjee or whatever her name was
Mhm.
to do her job. As soon as she done with her job, they took her away. They sent her to Barbados. We still have the chief of that decision. She is signing agreements on behalf of Guyana. Why is that so? Why the politicians not telling us, is Guyana still an independent country, a sovereign country? Why are they not telling us that?
I don't think we
Why
are
do
a
they not tell the
sovereign.
Guyanese?
I don't think we are a sovereign country. Uh, because our sovereign state has been taken from us. We are being controlled by the
Exactly.
and that's the truth. We are being controlled by the State Department, whether we like it or not.
Sorry,
Those are the people who are
Gavin,
controlling
this
the
is
get.
common
It's
sense.
common sense, yes.
Why do we still have a hold over ambassador? The government was changed. Why do we still have that?
Mm-hmm.
This is disrespectful to the Guyanese people. We need answers. The politicians need to tell Guyanese that, because listen, okay, you want people to come, you want people to invest. Each and every one of you in Guyana, you got to remember your skin color. You will never be that. You're going to have to take the back bench, sit at the back of the bus. This is a fact.
Of
It
course.
is a fact. You will never get a seat at the table.
Well,
What they did to you people, what they did to the Guyanese people, they destroy your constitution, took it away from you.
like what they did
People
to
went,
Haiti.
imagine,
Like what they
exactly,
did to
people
Haiti.
went, March 2nd, Guyanese went to the polls to carry on the democratic process of electing a government of your choice. That process was eroded because they can't tell us anything. The world side, people, Guyanese people, the chief elections officer, they should not. If when things changed, they have to leave, be expelled from Guyana, leave, or they should be prosecuted, because that's treason. Nobody, no, no, no country that more than 50% of the population are educated, that nonsense would never happen, and those criminals wouldn't pay for it. It's absolutely disrespectful. The other topic I'm going to touch on. You mentioned the second term president
The third term.
was the third term. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
He is alleged. Oh, well, no, I'm not going to say alleged. You don't have to mention. You don't have to comment on it. Any leader for any country, and that leader is there. He's in office, and genocide, more than may have happened to their population, they're responsible.
Of course.
He has a case. He has a case in the International Court of Justice. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is unfair. Guyanese who wants or who had intentions to migrate to Canada, US, England, they're denied entry if you were charged or if you commit a crime in your nation state.
Mm-hmm.
The unfair justice is Mr. Jackie is wanted or there's a case against him as of today's date in the international court, and he's allowed to travel. Guyanese, you guys have to start demanding certain things. This is their disrespect.
Of course.
Why is not he being arrested?
And
it was a small man. They will turn the plane around. They will storm the plane and arrest you if you want it. But they did it to other leaders.
Of course, but the thing is that
why is that so?
The thing what happened to those other leaders is that the people of the country demanded that justice be served. In Guyana, where the judicial system is concerned, there's no plea from the judicial system for Jack Dio to be arraigned before the ICC. The DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, ain't making sure that he be extradited. There's no form, there's no information provided from the Director of Public Prosecution's office. And this is what the nonsense is going on.
Mr. David, I am telling you, Guyana has no place in betterment column. We're small, we're less than 1 million people, but the entire nation is corrupt. Good people will never want to return to Guyana. Never.
Of
the
course.
Judicial system needs purging. All judges, magistrates who are involved in corruption, they need to be prosecuted. They need to be disbarred.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see that happening? Where? The politicians are so scared. The example that I want to use as for those politicians, it would be unbecoming of me to do that radio program.
Okay.
It's disrespectful.
What we'll do, we take another minute. We take another minute and wrap up so I can get this.
For your program. Yes. You have a wonderful program and you have to keep on doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Be strong because you're a perfect example. You're a proper man. You're an example where young people who should be patriotic should look at you, not those grabbers. They never work hard in their life, but they want to take. Gavin, have a good night.
You too.
Keep on doing what you're doing.
I
Thank
will.
you so much.
Yes, and thank you very much for calling. Stay safe and be careful.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
To those who are now looking, I think it is because of the earpiece that I have that really got the volume going because it's connected to the system. And I forgot to do the external mic so it could attach to the phone. But we are still moving on. You see, Guyana's constitutional system, which has provided a shelter for all Guyanese, it needs to be respected. Whether we don't like it or not, whether there are certain things in the Constitution that doesn't fit us politically, economically, socially, or religiously, it's there as a guideline. It is the supreme law of the land. And when we have people who does not respect the supreme law of the land, our rights will be taken from us like what is going on now. So right now, as I keep on saying, how did the weak colonize the strong? How did this happen beneath our watch, our guidance, our glaze? I could remember when Efrad was sworn in as the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. I can remember when he was sworn in, people wept. People shed tears. They were crying because they knew the violence that will come after. Tyranny and oppression. And that monstrosity has the audacity to sit there and to tell people with reparation and apology for black, when the party that he represents murdered black people in the streets. And because I talk about it, you want to take me before the court for freedom of speech. When it wasn't me, it was your people who gave you up. Ask Parajack Dio, he's going to tell you that. And you expect me to have respect for a murderous regime like this? I don't know how many young Guyanese can sit down. I am one young Guyanese. I can tell you that. I can't sit down and allow these monsters, that monstrosity that we call of a president and a vice president and an attorney general to sit there and think it's a freelance. Not over my dead body. Because I will not rest. Justice got to prevail in this country, friend. I cannot, as a human being, cannot sit down and allow this to continuously happening. I have problems with our own who call themselves leaders and representatives. I have problems with them opening their mouths and representing people. It's a bunch of trash. These people sit down and talk continuously, not only in the social media, but everywhere else. When they're running away from the point, I'm trying to keep the point active so people can know what these killers are doing to our children and our children's children. Guyana has experienced so much poverty, so much death, so much mayhem, so much oppression that the stench of dictatorship is so stink that it pollutes the air. It fouls the minds of those who breathe it in because it's unclean. And then you're running around the place. You're running around the place talking. Giving yourself a lot of ear. because nobody challenges you, because nobody seems to want to step out of bounds and challenge a de facto administration like the PPP. Everybody's running. I don't know why. I just don't know why. It's a few dollars and cents worth the annihilation of your own. That's the only conclusion I can come to. And we ain't talking about US currency, we're talking about Guyana currency. Is it a few dollars and cents worth the annihilation of your own people? Genocide has committed in this country and nobody talks about it. Not even Joseph Harmon. Genocide committed in this country. And that murderous jumps on the plane and goes all over this place, travailing, says that he represents his country. And smiling. And these two-bit politicians, that's why I just get vexed. People just get vexed with me when I talk about it, because you know why? These people that we call opposition leaders are running away from the point when we suffer the consequences as a nation. That man's supposed to be in jail, chained like a penguin when he walks. But you imagine he had the audacity to walk around this world and tell himself he represents Guyana when he's worse than Jim Jones. And then they got some people got the audacity to tell me to sit down and tell me about the Bible. Here, let me tell you something. I realize now these days that people get to understand that I don't stick nonsense because it's a bundle of crap these church leaders are doing. Because it was their members of their congregations who people would have died in the streets and they failed to represent. They're not representation. They're money robbers and hungers. Because when you turn up, all they're interested in is their 10%. Because when black people want free, one black people want some shelter and representation, it's a church that's run and go to. They sit down there to accept the FBI, the faith-based initiative, which is 150 million Guyana dollars that was shared throughout the churches and the organizations by the PPP. And the ones who got the hug of it is the 7 Days Adventist. So when I talk, people get vexed. Who are your representatives really? Who are the people that stands up to represent you in time of need? Who are them? You point them out. Because as far as I'm concerned, the murderous gang still murdering people. What is being said? Nothing. Where does the hope comes from? Nowhere. I said to a couple of you, and why the reason why I had this topic tonight is because there are persons who do call. And I try to let them know that I, Gavin Matthews, cannot entertain people. It's impossible. I cannot find it within my stomach to entertain you when there's so much sorrow and grief and pain riddling through our lands, tearing up the lives of so many on a daily basis, and sit down and smile and say everything is okay with an entertainment. I can't do that. It's impossible. It's so painful. For every time I look around, I see another brother perish and punished by an oppressive system that is designed by the forebearers, which is the PPP, to kill you out. So you cannot inherit that. That are their motives. That is their interest, nothing more else. Every time I look around, I see a people perish because of the same political system now in our country that is destroying us as a people. And yet still we're not waking up because we got people who are telling you that there's nothing that they can do about it. And they are failing to realize that they are their power. The Constitution resides around the people. The people is the Constitution. My Constitution tells me that the sovereignty of the nation is the people. The people's will must speak. That's the Constitution. And that is taken away from us. And the legal system refused to represent us because the people perish. And if you got money, you perish more because the legal system refused to stand up not only for the people, but for the country. Everybody's so much afraid. I have no apologies for any of the church leaders, any of the religious factions. I have no apologies. Because if you cannot represent a people that perishes under a system that is illegal, well, then what's the use for you? I have no apologies for the leaders, the political ones too. Because if you can see a people perish and only share condolences and wants to be elected, think again. As long as they have Gavin Matthews around. I'm just tired. Seriously. I don't know through what lens are you looking at this wonderful country of ours. I cannot see how does your cerebral capacity comprehends what's going on now in this country of ours and pretend that everything is good and beautiful when the people suffer, when the people perish. I cannot see. I don't know how to look at it through the eyes of these want-to-be leaders. I just cannot understand. I don't know what are they looking at and how are they seeing these things. My number is 611 6575. If you're calling from overseas, it's 592 611 6575. The number's on the screen. You can get me by WhatsApp or straight call. Tonight, I am up for 1 hour. I can entertain your call for information of the referendum that I have up. I need your votes to have this referendum still be done. And I would very much appreciate that if you can vote. You can call. You can go to my Gavin Matthews show site on Facebook. The referendum is there. You can either call me and I can send you an electronic ballot via way of WhatsApp, so you can get the vote. Your phone must have data in order to vote. And if you don't have a Facebook account, you need to put the relevant information on because it asks you for your email address and your full name. After doing so, please press the green button that says thank you for voting. And if you wish to, the referendum do needs a financial uh, assistance, and the GoFundMe site is up on the page also too. You can go into the GoFundMe and contribute to the process of the referendum. I want to thank you very much for those who have contributed such thus far and those who have voted. But I still need a lot more votes. I have more likes than votes. And I wish if those likes can turn into votes because I'll have enough votes to take to the office of the Chancellor of the Judiciary to act on behalf of the will of the Guyanese people. I want to say thank you. I want to say stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Don't forget the little ones you take into public places. This is Dr. Matthew saying good night. Cheerios for now. Please remember to do call if there is any other questions pertaining to that.